Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing us how to draft, how to cut, and also how to sew a female trouser. So this video was inspired by the video you just saw earlier on, and let me know in the comment section if you want me to create a video on how to make the top that she wore. That video was just so beautiful. Alright, so let's get into the video. So first of all, you're always going to start with the beginning point, which is the starting point. So for this trouser now, this point here is my waistline. And now from my shoulder line to my waistline is 16 inches. So that is why on this paper here, I'm going to be placing my tape in this format, which means I'm starting from 16 inches to measure down. The next thing here, I'm going to mark from my waist. After my waist measurement, I'm going to be marking down to my hip measurement. Then I'm also going to be going down to my knee measurement. So from that point now, I am marking out my knee measurement here. Then I'm also going to be marking out my ankle measurement. So as you can see now, the paper I'm using is quite too short. So I'm going to go off camera to add a new paper to this. Then I'll now mark out the ankle measurement. So I've gone ahead to add an extra paper toward the down part. And now this is very much okay for me to mark out my ankle measurements. Struggles of being too tall. Anyway, let's move ahead. All right, so now this here is the waist measurement. I'm just going to label out these lines because we are also going to be adding other lines to this. So let's just mark this out first before we continue. So we'll not end up confusing ourselves. So this is the knee measurement and this is the ankle or the length of the trouser. Now let's move ahead. Now coming over here to the waist measurement, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead now to mark out my crotch measurement. So from the beginning part of my waist down to 13 inches here is my crotch measurement, but then I would have used 12 inches. So you can always use 12 inches if your butt is not big. If you have a small butt like my own, please use 12 measurements. 12 number to measure that. Now this is the crotch line here. But if your butt is quite big, you can always use the 12, okay? Even if it's like not too big, but it's there, just use the 12. Now let's come over, after marking out the crotch measurement, now we are going to go ahead to divide our waist measurement into 4. So my waist measurement now divided into 4 is what I'm going to mark out on my paper. So now I'm going to go ahead now to add an extra 1 inch for the dart. Then I'm also going to add 1 inch again in front here for the seam allowance. Now once that is done, I'm going to come over to my hip line. Now on my hip line now, I am also going to go ahead to divide my hip measurement into 4. Now I'm also going to mark out the divided number here. Now on my hip measurement, I'm going to be doing what we call the hip allocation. Ever since I learned hip allocation on one lady's video, I really can't remember her name. I've been doing that on my videos and literally it has been helpful. If I remember her, I'm going to be linking her on the description box. So on the front line now, instead of adding 1 inch for the seam, for the sewing allowance, I'm going to be subtracting 1 inch from the front. Don't worry, just follow with me to the end, you understand. So I'm going to be subtracting that 1 inch from the front. So now the original marking there is not going to serve as the seam allowance. Now I'm going to come over to the crotch line. Now on the crotch line here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to transfer the same marking I have on my hip line down to the crotch line. And by same marking, I don't mean the original marking, I mean the one that we just subtracted. That's what I'm transferring to the crotch line now. The next thing for us to do is to go ahead and draw a straight line from the waist down to that crotch line, following those dots that we just made. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead to draw that crotch curve. So on this point now, I'm going to be going in by 2 inches here, not 1.5. Now on this dot, please go in by 1 inch. I did half inch here and I ended up discovering that it wasn't really okay, so I had to come back and then place 1 inch. So just place 1 inch at that V corner. Then go ahead to use your curve ruler or your free hand with a pencil, please, first of all, to draw a curve from this point here on your hip line down to the crotch line and then back to the 2 inches mark that we just drew on the crotch line. So that is me now coming back again to draw the one line. Sorry, to mark out the 1 inch line. Now this is it. So once you connect these two together, your crotch is on point. Okay, so let's move on. Now the next measurement I'm going to be taking is from that crotch line down to the midpoint of my thigh. Not on the highest point, because already the crotch can take care of the highest points, but towards the midpoint of the thigh, which is now a bit lower, that is towards the knee, but not close to the knee. I'm going to be marking out 5 inches there. I'm going to go ahead to draw that line and connect them together. Reason being that the measurement at that point also is different. And being that the measurements I'm going to be taking on this very pattern is going to be a fitted measurement. So all angles of my leg to my ankle, my thigh has to have a particular measurement for it to be fitted enough. Now, let's move over to the knee line. Now, on the knee line, I'm going to be marking or measuring from my knee down to my bicep. So, you're going to measure out from the knee to the bicep because the bicep point now is this point here immediately below your knee. So, for me, I'm going to be marking out 7 inches here. And that is what I have. So, I'm just going to go ahead to rule a line and then connect it together. So this here now is my bicep line. Now let's come over again to the top. Now what we're going to do now is to go ahead to insert our horizontal measurement. So what we're going to do now is to come over to the thigh here. I've already inserted the hip and the crotch horizontal measurements. So divide your thigh measurement into 2, not 4. Divide it into 2 and then mark it out there. Now, we are also going to go ahead to add 1 inch seam allowance to that. But before we do that, we are going to go ahead to move over to our knee. Now, moving over to the knee line here, we are going to add that same, we are going to divide it into 2, not 4, please. Anything you do throughout from your thigh down to your ankle, you are dividing it by 2, not by 4. Now, moving over to the bicep also, I'm going to be dividing that measurement I have by 2. I'll mark it out, and also on the ankle I'm also going to do the same thing by dividing it by 2, and I'm also going to mark it out. Then once I'm done with this, I'm going to come over now and then connect these lines together. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to come over to this crouch line, and this is what I did here. So on a normal day I can always leave it the way it was before, but I just want to make this line straight. I mean, it's really optional. You can always leave it the way it was because even after making the trouser, and I noticed that there was really no need for me to have added this. So I went ahead to add a ½ inch in front there. Then I now connected this line back there so they can just look straight. But like I said earlier, it's not really necessary. So you can always leave it out the way it was before. So once I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and then insert ½ inch seam allowances. And please notice at the crotch line here, I did not insert any seam allowance. So all the lines came back to the original position because I already added ½ inch. Now let's come over to this point that I'm pointing my fingers at. So now I'm going to add ½ inch here. Reason being that this is now the back part of the trouser that we are going to be drafting. So now from that ½ inch now, I'm going to draw out the crotch curve still back to the normal crotch line, just like how we used to draft out the armhole in an outfit. That's just it. So with this now, this is for the back, and I'm still going to draw this line again back to the original position because we're not going to be adding anything to the waist. So I'm going to be taking this again back to the waist. Reason why we are having this additional thing here is because of the hip allocation. So this now belongs to the back. So this is where the butt is going to sit. your bum bum. This is where it's going to sit. Okay, so that's just it. Now I didn't add anything to the waist, like I said, because we are not going to have any, we don't want to have any excesses on the waist. Let's just know that we are concentrating on our dart. Now I'm gonna head to cut this out. Now I only cut out the back part. Okay, so now after cutting that out for the back, now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out now, which will now serve as the front part. So this is me trying to cut it out. So after cutting this out, you're going to see how it's going to be looking like. So the front part, definitely you're going to cut this out, and the front part is definitely going to sit very well once you do this. Then the back part will also have its own place. So this is how it's looking like so far. Now let's move ahead. So guys, I'm still going to be coming back to insert my dart because on this very particular part I forgot to insert the dart. So I'm still going to be inserting the darts here later on. So on the waistline towards the back, so after cutting a trouser and then you're wearing it and sitting on something, and then it feels like if the back part is pulling downwards. Now this is how to avoid that. I'm going to be marking 2 inches directly on top. So on this part now, I ended up attaching a paper so I can be able to do this. So I'm marking out 2 inches there on top. Now I'm going to be marking or connecting that 2 inches down back to the normal waistline at the center front. So this is what I am doing now at the back. So please remember that the 2 inch that we are marking on top is on the crotch area, not on the side. Please don't make that mistake. It's on the crotch area. So look at it very well before you go ahead to add the same thing to yours. Now let's come over to the front. So the front now, the way we are going to help the front to avoid the pulling down effect in front that brings out those lines, we are going to be coming down here in front by 1 inch. Now that 1 inch now, we are going to be marking out that 1 inch back to the original waistline towards the side. So this here was literally wrong. So please don't do this. The 1 inch is supposed to be towards the crotch because the crotch faces the front. So the mistake I did now was to draw that 1 inch on this side. So I'm correcting myself now, and this is it. I'm drawing out that 1 inch now on the crotch line. Now I'm going to be marking this back to the original waistline towards the side. So this is how it's supposed to look like. So please take notes so you not end up making the same mistake. So I'm actually making the line very obvious so that you will know the differences. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and then cut this out so that you can be able to see the clear picture of what I'm talking about. So with this now, the complete pattern is ready. So you can manipulate this to cut out your bootcut trouser. You can manipulate this to cut out your palazzo, your fitted trouser, whatever trouser it is. You can always manipulate this. So that is it. So now let's move ahead to trying this out on a fabric. So I got this shiny fabric from my local supply store. I don't know how it's called, but one side has a stretch to it, while the other side doesn't have a stretch to it. I just love the shimmering appearance of it, being that it's also mimicking the one I saw on that video. So I really want to have something that looks like that because it's really, really beautiful. So this is it. I've gone ahead to cut out the pattern on the fabric, and now this is it for the back. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead to sew around this using 1/2 inch. So that's what I'm going to do. So now you remember I told you I did not insert the dart on the waistline. So this very particular clip now, I'm going to be inserting the dart here. So first of all, I'm going to be marking from the crotch area. Okay, that's the front. From the crotch area, I'm going to be marking in 4 inches, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Now from that line now, I'm going to be coming down by 5 inches. Now, mostly on my skirts, I used to use 5 inches. So you can use 5 or you can use 4 inches since this is a trouser. So it's not really going to really disturb. So long as it's not more than 5 inches, it's still okay. Now, I'm going to be coming over to the side of this, and I'm going to be marking 1/2 inches towards each side. Now, the reason why I'm going for a longer dart for the front is because I want it to literally pack in the front part very well. I don't want all those wrinkles in front of my trouser. I don't know if you guys do like it too, but for me, I don't want to see it there. So that is why I am doing this. Now, I'm bringing the back part in. On the back pattern, I'm still going to do the same thing. On the side of the crotch area, I'm going to be marking 4 inches inwards. That's still my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Now, this is it. You need to understand your own butt type. So from my waist down to where my bust, the beginning part of my bust is 6 inches. So that is why I'm marking out 6 inches here, because I just want to really pack that part in. It's really going to help to bring your butt out very well. So just go ahead and then mark that out. And make sure that if your own butt, if yours doesn't start like mine, and you end up using 6 inches, it's definitely going to come up to your bum bum area. And please try to use 5 inches if that's the case. So still on either side, I'm also still using ½ inch on either side of the line. So right now, this is me placing this back to the main fabric. I'm just going to go ahead to cinch this place, just giving it a little bit of notch, so that when I take this to a sewing machine, I will now know the position in which I should insert my dart. So now after inserting the dart, this is what it's looking like so far for the front and also for the back. So I'm going to place the two of them right side facing each other like this. So make sure that the edge of the fabric aligns with each other. Definitely the front is going to be a little bit smaller than the back, so please try to align it. The reason why it's doing that is because of the hip allocation. So go ahead to close the sides, and after closing the side, you're then going to go ahead to hem around the ankle area before you go ahead to now close the crotch line. That is the crotch area, which is this area now. Go ahead to close the side and then do the other parts first before closing that area. Now, this is it. And please, at this point, go ahead to wear it first and then see how fitted it is on your body before you now come back and we continue. So on the crotch line here, you're going to be holding in 1 inch. And remember, it's 1 inch that we actually added as a seam allowance on that area. So from the down part, hold in 1 inch. Then you're going to come back and then you're going to cut out the excesses by the side or on the crotch area. Now coming back to the waist, this is what you're going to do. So now the front and then the back, you're going to measure around this place now. So originally my waist measurement is 28 inches. So at this one, I'm just measuring this to be sure that this is 28 inches. If it doesn't enter to 28 inches normally, then I'm going to go back to shaping the side a bit so it sits at 28 inches properly before I go in to add the waistband. So after measuring it out, I am sure of the 28 inches. Now this is what I did. I ended up cutting out a piece of fabric like this. Now dividing the 28 inches by 2, this is what I have. I have 14 inches here. So now this is literally 14 inches because this is a stretchy fabric, so it's not really going to have a problem. So this is 14 inches by 2.5 inches. Now this fabric now is on fold, and also what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and then sew a straight line here. All right, so after sewing that straight line, this is what it's looking like now. Now you're going to open up this like this, and once you end up opening it like this, you're going to also fold it over in this other manner, and you're going to go ahead to use this now to insert on the waist of our trouser or leggings, whatever. All right, so that is just it. So this now, I'm just going to go ahead to align the part that we sewed down together. So this is me trying to align them together. So this is the part now that I ended up sewing together. Now this is the part I'm going to be using to align towards the back, not the front, please. Anything joining should go to the back. It's understandable, but anything plain should come to the front. So with this now, we're going to go ahead and sew all around with this. And once you're done sewing around this, guys, yay, our trouser is ready. It's just for us to go ahead and then, you know, do your makeup, dress up, and then get ready for that party. So this is it. So far it's looking beautiful. So this is the final look of it, and I'm going to wait and show you guys how it looks like on my body. So this is how it's looking like on me. I so much love the outcome of this, and also you can see how fitted it is and how it sits on my body very well. And also I love the shimmering aspect of this very fabric. It's very, very beautiful. So that's the end of this video, guys. Please give me a thumbs up, share this video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And until next time, bye guys.